Hi there, spooky friends, and welcome to an episode of Storytime with the Scary-ish podcast. I'm Robin Grace. This is Adam Diaz.
Hello.
And we're here to read some homegrown horrors that have been sent to us from our spooky friends.
Indeed. Robin is like completely discombobulated. So usually she asks me, what are homegrown horrors? So I'm just going to go ahead and dive into that part. A homegrown horror is a story that has been sent to us by our wonderful listeners, also known as the spooky friends, that is a different variety of things. It could be supernatural, spiritual, coincidental, true crime, or extraterrestrial in nature. And that's the kind of stories you're going to be hearing over the next 4 stories we're about to read. If you have a story that you would like to share with us, we would love to hear it. Feel free to email storytime@scarish.com or go to our website, scarish.com, click on Contact Us, fill out that form, and it does come directly to us. Or hit us up on the social medias. I think I already did that. I can't remember. Twitter is @ScarishPod. Instagram is @ScarishPodcast. However you want to reach out to us, we would love to hear it. And that's what these 4 folks that we're going to be reading today did. So I don't know who's going to go first. We have 2 long ones. So 2 like medium ones and 2 long ones. So it might be a little bit of a longer story time, but we'll see how that goes. So I think I'll just go ahead and read the first one if you're cool with that.
Okay.
All right. So this first one is from Annette, and it says in the subject line, from Annette, okay to read. Nice. I like it. It's because I think this was sent on Instagram, and then I wound up sending it from my personal account over to our email so that we could like have it in like the proper format.
Yeah, that is what we do. If you guys send anything to us through Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or things like that, we'll just send it to ourselves because it's easier for us to keep track of what we've read and received and things like that.
Indeed. It starts out like this. Here's one of my stories for you, and I'm writing this from work while my last sample is being analyzed. Feel free to share on the podcast. My mom and I had taken a trip to Ethiopia where she was born and raised so I could see my history and my roots.
That's cool.
Ethiopia was one of the stops we had on this journey. We began in Germany and Poland. Side note, this was also to see family there, and Poland has a story of its own too. And we were supposed to go to Italy after Ethiopia before returning to Germany to fly back to the US. That's a lot of traveling. I say supposed to go to Italy as that leg of our journey got canceled, and this is where things get strange and become stranger. As I said, our Italy portion of our journey was canceled. This most likely saved our lives, no joke. We ended up returning to Germany an entire week earlier than originally planned, which also meant our flight was rescheduled for an earlier one. Had this not happened, my mom and I would have been on a plane that was hijacked. Holy shit. This flight ended up going down in the Indian Ocean between Africa and Australia. We had heard all the reports. We followed the news on this. I even journaled it. Now for the twist. That wasn't enough of a twist. Oh my God. Now for the twist. Looking back at all the reports outside of our original flight itinerary, my journaling, my family following the news reports, everything I've been looking up states that this hijacking and plane crash happened 9 months after all of our documentation and accounts. My mom and I have even recently gone very carefully over all the details, and we can't explain how the dates are 9 months after what our documents have, including my journal, and that had even been turned into my teachers as part of my school assignment as the trip occurred during the school year. My mom and I had even considered that maybe the difference in the date may have been from Ethiopia being on a different calendar system than the rest of the globe, but the math still doesn't add up.
I didn't realize Ethiopia was on a different calendar system.
I didn't either.
Interesting.
So there's my and my family's major experience with the Mandela effect. Am I feeling like there's some kind of strange time-space fracture that still leaves me perplexed? Annette, a.k.a. I Am Beef Trainer. That's really fucking creepy. Like, I've had stuff like that happen, but nothing that notable where it was completely, like, life-changing or possibly, life-ending. I've had stuff where it's like, I swear that this happened at a completely different time and a different time and space. My dad said stuff like that happened to me before. We got, like, super upset. He's like, I know we went and did this thing together. And I'm like,
but then you
no.
look up dates and it didn't happen.
Well, like, he went, like, the best one I can say is he got super pissed off because he insisted that we had seen a movie together. And I was like, I've never seen that movie. And he's like, no, we all went as a family and saw it. And then he's like, I can tell you exactly how that movie goes. And then he went over the entire movie and said, like, it does this, 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 and this. And I'm like, I've never seen that movie, but he knew it somehow. And that was like so long ago. It was crazy.
I have experienced something similar to your story with your dad feeling like he definitely has seen this, because I swear I've seen something on TV before where it was like a skit or a TV show that had something in it where it showed you the origins of Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. And it was like Dr. Evil ran like a bookstore and stuff like that. There was something about Curious George in there. It was like a whole bunch of stuff. He like falls in love with a girl. And the reason why he like does that thing with his pinky is because he was eating ice cream with her on a bench and he had it on his he got some on his mouth and that's how he like cleaned it up or something like that. I swear I've seen it before and I can't find any record of it ever existing.
Yeah, this sounds like it was a dream. Like
no.
You watched this in a dream.
And no. And I've seen it.
I mean,
on
in
TV.
Austin Powers 3, don't they go over his origins as an evil person?
But this was not like the official movie origin.
So you're watching fanfic on Dr.
I don't know.
Evil.
It was on TV. I swear to God, I've seen it, but I can't find anything about it. Glitch says he remembers it.
We'll have to do some internet searching because clearly it's got to be out there. If it exists, it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, because it's like he runs this bookstore. Number 2 is there. Like there's just a whole bunch of stuff.
Number 2 there?
I don't know, man, but I remember it existed. But maybe it's, you know what I mean? Why is it not?
Mandela effect stuff is definitely very weird. It's one of our more controversial episodes because we had a lot of people reach out like, no, you're wrong. I think I have the alternate dimension memories. And it's like, or you remembered it wrong. And I still insist to my dad, like, you're remembering things wrong. Like, he watched that movie on cable. We never went and saw it as a family. You're getting it mixed up with a different movie. So sometimes that happens, though, man. And it's really creepy. But Annette, thank you so much for sending that first one in. We appreciate it.
All right. We're going to get into the second story of this episode. It's from Sarah, and it's titled Dream Chasing.
Oh, snap.
So it begins. I love that song.
Dream, dream, dream.
Wasn't it in that Ladybugs movie? Do you remember? Yeah.
When he's like daydreaming about the girl soccer player.
Yeah.
That kid passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Kid
sad.
from Ladybugs and It and Sidekicks. If you've never seen Sidekicks, it's a movie where it's basically the Karate Kid, but like he goes to the tournament to compete and they're like, you're one person short. Your team needs 4 people. And they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? And then fucking Chuck Norris shows up and Chuck Norris is his hero. And so they like go and appeal to Chuck Norris and they're like, can you please like get on our team? And so he goes over and he talks to Barry and Barry's just like, oh. Like he can't believe Chuck Norris is talking to him. He's like, hey, you want to go win this thing? And then of course they win. So that movie's fucking awesome.
I've never
fight me if you don't agree.
I've never seen it, so I don't know. Anyway, it begins. Hey, lovely people. Hope you guys are all well.
Hello.
Some of us are, some of us aren't, but hopefully things get better.
Just keep going forward, y'all.
For as long as I can remember, my dreams have been super vivid to the point I have to take a minute when I wake up to remind myself that it wasn't real. This has been anything from horrifyingly scary, more than just scary-ish, or emotional, or just plain beautiful. Sleep paralysis has given me the purest of fear in the past, and although I'm fast approaching 30, I quite regularly sleep with a light on somewhere in my home. We have a nightlight as well in our bathroom because it's like the bathroom like opens up to the bedroom, and I have a haunted house
and the light is
and it's green,
spooky green.
So my nightlight, I guess, isn't like, you know, there
standard nightlight.
But yeah, anyway, I wanted to write into you for ages, but have been trying to get through as many episodes as possible as I only found you at the end of 22. Oh my God, welcome, brand new. When I was searching for Halloween suitable podcasts to enjoy through October. I always try to watch a scary movie or listen to something spooky each day of October because Halloween is a way of life.
Same. I tried to pass that on to Robin when we first got together and she hated horror movies. She's like, I don't want to watch horror movies. Now she watches horror movies to go to sleep too. It's crazy.
Yeah. My first bizarre dream/sleep paralysis experience that popped into my mind after listening to some of your episodes was about 6 years ago now. I'd fallen asleep on my back with a pillow to my left side. I was almost hugging, if I remember correctly. I'd just dealt with another shitty breakup and was substituting the empty bed space with something squishy to snuggle into.
Aww.
I've definitely been there. I've had an experience where, you know, I broke up with someone and then I was in my apartment by myself and I was terrified of being by myself.
What's your go-to thing to do for self-comfort, not having to do with other people, and blasting it during a breakup?
Eating.
I
always eat. I love to eat. I love to watch movies. I don't know. It's been, you know, over a decade.
It's been a long time
since I've had to experience that. But probably like going out to eat or like getting something that I crave or that I don't eat a lot or something that is my like going to get curry, like chicken katsu curry or something like that.
Comfort food.
Yeah.
I think my broken heart, like routine for me was always like Sour Patch Kids, High Fidelity, and uplifting music that doesn't make me think of them and doesn't make me want to lose my mind. That's typically what I used to do, but I don't know. I'm 38. We'll see what happens in the future if I ever have to go through it again and figure it out.
Anyway, I have since added a little Omen baby, Dolly, to my home because cats are clearly better than the guys from my past. Pets are always really nice to have when you're going through anything hard in your life. I know our corgi is like an emotional support animal whenever you're having a hard day, or like if you're just feeling really down, she makes you giggle. I don't know how she does it. She's just really sweet.
And as most of you who have listened to the episode last August know, called Trauma Time, our previous corgi was like that too.
Anyway, lying on my back, squishy pillow, blah, blah, blah. So my room was in darkness, and I woke up staring at the ceiling, unable to move. I had no idea what was happening as I lay frozen in space with what felt like a cold breeze to my left side, which, remember, they had a pillow on their left side, so why is there a breeze, right? My eyes were darting around the room looking for a solution to my problem, of which I found none. I closed my eyes tightly, but when I reopened them, the pillow to my left had become a severed bald head with gray, sweaty skin and dark eyes that I can only describe as demonic. I tried screaming, but nothing came out. I knew I was sort of asleep, but just couldn't get myself out of this horrifying scenario. After what felt like an hour of trying, a small noise gurgled in my throat and my body started to wake up. This developed into a shrill shriek, and I shot up in bed, throwing that damn head pillow away from my bed as fast as humanly possible. Now I'd broken from my paralysis. Even after all that fear and drama, I'd still take a demon's sweaty head over the guy I dated beforehand. That's saying something, bruh.
Seriously.
If I was like, give me the demons instead of,
I'll take the demons, stay away from me.
Jokes, not really, but my ex was an absolute tool bag. I can see
Better
that.
than a toolbox or a tool shed, I suppose, but still, tool bag is pretty bad.
I'd rather have a tool shed than a tool bag.
It's a huge bag of tools.
That's like a place to put all your stuff.
Okay, so is a bag of tools. This is like a different sort of metaphor.
A tool bag is not as useful.
Okay, whatever. Let's move on.
On the other
It's bigger container of tool is the point.
Okay, got it. On the other side of my fear dreams, I've had some really beautiful dreams that I honestly chase, desperate to experience way more than I have already. When I was in my early teens, my grandpa on my dad's side passed away. I was always very close to him, as with all my grandparents. However, Grandpa Burns was just the person I could talk to about anything without judgment and would always get an honest and sensible answer. He was much the same as my dad, and I'm lucky to be super close and open with both my parents to this day. But back to the dreams. When I was at the end of high school studying, sitting exams, and applying to go to university, I was reasonably stressed and struggling a bit. I'm bad for bottling up my stress and avoiding any concerns to the point it's a little unhealthy. I think a lot of us do that, take all that stress, bottle it up inside, and then have it explode one day and attack everyone around you.
Yep. I know someone who does that.
I remember being quite closed off, not seeing any friends too much, and completely avoided discussing my applications to uni or future career plans with my family. I wasn't sleeping overly well, so one night I fell into a much-needed slumber and had an absolutely life-changing dream that might not seem like much, but it really did save me at the time. I quote-unquote woke up while in the dream into the little bedroom I used to stay in when visiting my grandparents in Glasgow. It's a Scottish word. Kirkintilloch?
Where? Hang on, let me look.
Glasgow, right? Kirkintilloch. Don't worry, a lot of Scottish people struggle to say this town too. Okay. I was sitting with my grandpa at the end of the bed, and he put his arm around me and just gave me a look like, go on, tell me everything. We had what felt like hours of conversation. I told him about my exams, where I wanted to move after school to study, what I was thinking about future careers, relationships, worries I had about family, my own health, etc. Just anything that had been weighing on me for the last few months. After getting some really good advice, which actually completely changed my plans at the time, he gave me a huge hug, asked after my dad, and said goodbye. I woke up with an incredible sense of relief, clarity, and what felt like a real life plan for the first time in years. It is an experience that has stuck with me as more of a memory than a dream, as without him popping by in my sleep, I would probably still be a lost young girl trying to find her way. I'm tearing up a little bit writing this out, as it feels as if he just swings by to say hi when I need a wee bit of support or a helping hand figuring out my path in life. After about 12 years of desperately wanting another dream like this one in the past, he visited again in December of 2022. I'd recently had another breakup, surprise, surprise, doomed to be a strong, independent cat lady for the rest of my days. He just said hi in my grandparents' kitchen and gave me the biggest, warmest hug and said, "You're fine." It was short and sweet, but when I woke up, I could genuinely feel where his arms had been around me, and I smelled his musky mix of grandpa aftershave, gardening, varnish, and paint from his garden shed, and cigars he secretly smoked in said shed, hiding away from Granny. It was a much-needed moment, filled me with so much hope that I'd recently lost a lot of, and totally set me up for the always challenging festive period. Which I assume is Christmas.
Yeah.
Everyone's like with family doing stuff for Christmas, and I can see it being a rough time.
It's kind of funny because sometimes we get folks that write in around that period too, and it's just like I have a really hard time dealing with my family during Christmas time or during the holidays because, you know, I don't get along with them. And then we also get folks that miss their family. And I think it's important to remember, like, if you're someone who, you know, is combative with your family, that just because that, you know, they're your family doesn't mean you have to allow them into your life, and you can take time away and like not attend certain things if you don't need to. And I also think it's important if you've lost family to remember that sometimes they're a bag of dicks and you don't have to miss them because they would have made your life miserable had they been around.
Also, there's nothing wrong with being a cat lady. I know, like, I have had cats, multiple cats.
We have a cat right now.
We have a cat now. There's nothing wrong with loving animals and just having that be the family that you have around you.
Are awesome. Just saying, like, dogs and cats kick ass. So,
also cats do put their butts on every surface, but what's wrong with that?
Yeah, you just have to deal with it.
I have been a busy little human for the past few months, so it took me a long while to write this all down. I have more stories and some really spooky supernatural stuff, so I'll definitely get around to sending more when I source some free time. I've told so many people to get on your podcast, thank you, as I love the safe space you and the Spooky Fam have created. Your podcast and hilarious chats have gotten me through a lot recently, and you should know your efforts do not go unnoticed. Thank you so much. I'm on episode 137, so still powering through and enjoying every minute. Thank you for being you. Keep on creeping on, Sarah and Dolly Cat. Oh, they're from Aberdeen, UK. Nice. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. Can't wait to hear your spooky stuff.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, I know there are a lot of people that do have those dreams that just seem like it's these moments that are kind of meant to be in life. I have experienced a lot of deja vu where I dream things that are happening, and then months down the line it happens and I'm like, guys, we've done this before. Like, yeah,
I've definitely had that happen multiple times. It happened once at ShineCon actually, where I was just like, is this deja vu, or do we just go to so many cons?
It's very similar.
That it was like, this exact thing has played out because we're all basic bitches and we do the same stuff a lot. Also, a way to power through already on episode 137 as the time this was written, which I think was March, and they started at the end of 2022, so that's a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that, and thank you for the words of support. We appreciate it. We're glad that we're able to help in any way, shape, or form, because sometimes I'm just like, can't believe people listen to the show.
Yeah, I can't believe how many people listen to the show. I can't believe how many people have come to our live streams.
Right.
And kind of interact with us on different social medias. Like, you guys are amazing, and you make us want to keep going. Some days we're like, I really don't want to do this, but then we think like, you know, someone needs to have us for their laundry day, or someone, you know, needs this for their commute to work or something like that. And so we definitely try to keep going.
Indeed. And thank you for writing that story. It was very nice. I got a little bit misty myself reading it, because it's just sweet to think about people coming to visit you at the time you need, even if they're gone in your dreams.
Yeah.
And telling you exactly what they would have told you. And it's like, why isn't that real? It can be real. And it can be pivotal and life-changing. So
yeah. Thank
you one more time for sending that in. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move into the third story we have for this particular episode of Storytime of the Scarish podcast. This one's subject is Storytime, Sleep Paralysis Demon. Feel free to read on the pod. That's how you do a subject, folks. Also, the time that these were written, we must have been talking about sleep paralysis and dreams because I think they all have to do with that. So
I think there is a cycle.
it's so
we go through
funny
a cycle.
when we get to that point where we can realize like what we were talking about around the time like end of February, beginning of March.
Yep.
So, okay, here we go. It starts out like this. Hey again, spooky peeps.
Hello.
Hello again, friend of a friend or friend, whatever, spooky friend.
Speak friend and enter.
I was so excited to hear you should get that tat. So, okay. Side note. Like, as I like to call front tramp stamps, if you want to be like the coolest nerd, get that tattooed on your fupa. Speak friend and enter. In Elvish. No, it's Dwarvish, right? It's in Dwarvish.
Oh my god.
Anyways, let's just keep going. I was so excited to hear my previous spooky story read on the live show and decided to send in another story. I feel you staring at me right now. I hope you peeps enjoy.
Oh my god.
To preface this, I have had sleep paralysis before, where I sort of wake up from a dream and I get stuck in a half-lucid state where I'm aware of the room around me, but I can't move. But with these, I can just wiggle my toes and I'm always able to get out of the sleep paralysis pretty easily. These experiences are never scary, just a mild annoyance where I have to work a little harder to wake up. That's how sleep paralysis typically is for me as well. However, this particular sleep paralysis episode was so scary and so different compared to my past sleep paralysis experiences that I felt the need to send it in. One Friday night during the beginning of January 2023, I had gone to bed at
Why did you read it like that?
I don't know, it just felt natural.
It's like robotic. January 2023.
I had gone to bed around 11 p.m. with a YouTube video for background noise as I fell asleep. It was a longer video at about 4 hours long, but I'm only mentioning this because the length of the video helps establish the timing of events. That makes sense.
There are videos on YouTube that are 4 hours long.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
I listen to 10-hour loops of music sometimes where it's just like ambient background noise or something like that. My favorite video to send to people is an hour-long loop of Mr. Sandman.
the one that's like bump, bump,
Where
bump,
it never
bump,
starts. It's just the bum 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 on repeat for an hour. So it's like torturous because it never kicks off. Gonna get back to the story. Okay, this person's asleep. They went to bed at 11 p.m. I was then woken up at about 1 a.m. by loud stomping and door slamming coming from my downstairs neighbor. I knew it was around 1 a.m. because I had checked my phone to see the time, and I could also see that the YouTube video that I fell asleep to was still playing and had about an hour left. I was a little annoyed about being woken up, but just thought that they must have come back home drunk and don't realize how loud they're being. I then rolled onto my back and tried to fall back asleep. When I sleep on my back, that's when I have sleep paralysis.
Really?
Yep. Almost
You also
every
snore
single
like
time.
a beast.
It's because the airway is like not open. So,
Just punch it like.
or you just roll me over or just wake me up and say, hey, roll over. As I was starting to fall asleep again, I felt a presence crawl onto my bed and then on top of me. Nice. It felt like a pair of arms were placed on either side of mine.
This poor story.
as if there was someone planking on top of me. I distinctly remember feeling the bed dipping from the weight, and I felt that presence lie down onto my chest. I swear I felt an actual weight settle on top of me.
That's like typical sleep paralysis experience where you have that a lot of people see an the old hag syndrome where you wake up and you see an old woman just sitting on your chest. It's just crazy.
I don't know how I knew, but I just instinctively knew that I was now paralyzed. I absolutely freaked out because my first thought was that someone had snuck into my apartment and was now lying on top of me. So I opened my eyes, fully expecting to see a person on top of me, but all I saw was the ceiling of my room. I tried to tilt my head to look down at my chest, but because I was paralyzed, that particular action was impossible. My heart was pounding and I was terrified because along with being unable to move, I was also unable to scream for help. It was completely silent in the room. I couldn't hear the video playing, I couldn't hear my downstairs neighbor, and I couldn't even hear my heart pounding. I then tried to break the paralysis by wiggling my toes like I usually do. I just had this creepy image of something just like grabbing your toes. Like you start wiggling it, and all of a sudden something's like, nope, no escape this time. The toe wiggling developed into foot wiggling, which then further progressed into full-on leg thrashing. But even with all of that, I couldn't move my upper body at all. I could still feel the weight on top of me. I just kept wiggling and thrashing, and eventually my eyes opened again. It felt as though I was waking from a dream, and even though my eyes had previously been open and staring at my ceiling, I was then able to sit up in bed and verify that I was actually awake and alone.
When I wake up from a scary experience, I do not open my eyes to verify if I'm alone.
I do. I do not want to lay there and wait for something to murder me just in case I manage to wake up in time to defend myself.
I do not want to wake up, open my eyes, and see something that I cannot unsee. Like demons, I don't want to see it.
I've seen a lot of stuff that I can't unsee.
What I will do is I will wake up, realize I am now awake, roll over, blanket above my head, and I am going back to sleep.
The impenetrable shield evil cannot get through, the blankets. So, needless to say, I didn't sleep well for the rest of the night, nor the rest of the week. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you for reading Trash Pandas 17.
Thank you so much for sharing your sleep paralysis experience with us.
It's terrifying. Yeah, it just makes me worried too, because being very health conscious about like getting older, it's prevalent in my mind, and like having a lot of the anxiety that I've dealt with in my 30s be related to whether or not I'm healthy. And slowly but surely figuring out different ways to deal with it. I have like checklists in my head is the best way I can explain it. So when I start thinking like I might be having some sort of a panic attack, my normal fear that triggers it is like, am I dying? And that usually goes back to, am I having a heart attack? And no matter how many tests I can have run on me where they're like, you are incredibly healthy for a fat person, and like you have a strong heart, I still like worry like, oh man, this is it. Like sometimes you just get like a pain in your chest. And for me, that could trigger me sometimes where I'm just like, all right, bye to everyone. I hope my will's up to date. But the thing that freaks me out is sleep paralysis. You really feel a weight on your chest. And one of the symptoms of having a heart attack is it feels like there's an elephant sitting on your chest. So whenever I start to trigger in a panic attack where I'm like worried about, am I having a heart attack? I go through the checklist in my head, and it's just like severe nausea where you feel like you're going to throw up, or you have thrown up. You have a cold sweat where you're like cold to the touch and you're sweating, a massive headache like a migraine, and it feels like someone's sitting on your chest, like, and your arm is numb, and like you get pain in your arm, then your arm goes numb. Like those are things I think about where if one of those things happens, if the other ones aren't happening, I'm like, you're okay, move on. And I forget about it. If I were to wake up in sleep paralysis and feel the weight of something sitting on my chest, I probably wouldn't go to like supernatural sleep demon, like trying to steal my breath away. I'd probably go like, heart attack.
Oh my
it's
God.
finally happening. So two fears coinciding in one horrible experience that I sincerely hope doesn't happen anytime soon. Fingers crossed. But thank you for sending in your story and writing it so vividly that has now instilled a new fear in me. So good stuff.
New fear.
Unlocked.
All right. This email's subject was Storytime content. Feel free to read on the pod if it fits the vibe. Don't know what the vibe is for this, but I'm sure it fits in. We'll see. It goes, hi, Adam and Robin.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Gardner. What's all this then? A little bird with a knife.
If I were British, I'd fucking cut you. It's so bad.
See, it's a bird with a knife.
It's
she gets
just
it.
bad. Anyway, I'm Nick, and it's been about 5 years since I last wrote into the pod with a story. I'm 26 now, and I previously wrote about some experience I'd had with pennies appearing out of thin air in front of me or falling on me, as well as a creepy story about me talking to a past relative as a small child, which was in episode 43, I think. I definitely do remember the pennies.
I do too.
I remember the pennies 100%.
Because I remember hearing the pennies thing and thinking like, could I snap a penny from far enough away where people thought it was just falling in front of them? That's one of my hidden talents. I can hold a penny between my middle finger and my thumb and snap it so fast you hear it whiz through the air.
No.
Oh, fuck yeah, I can.
I've never seen you do that.
It's because it fucks whatever it hits up badly. I used to do it in my friend's garage and they would stick in the drywall. My brother taught me how to do it and his go faster than mine. He hit me in the forehead and it was like rising. So when it hit me, it flattened and I had like Abraham Lincoln on my forehead for like a few hours. I'll show you after this. It's very amazing.
Today I wanted to talk about some very interesting dreams I've had lately. I'd been waiting for the story to resolve with some more dreams, but I haven't had any lately that complete the story or provide any clarity. I'm not sure if dreams fall under the category of scary-ish content, which is funny because it fits the
vibes.
It fits the vibes. but these certainly might. I take anti-anxiety meds, and they do this fun magical thing where they take all the anxiety that I would experience during the day and they cram it right into my dreams. That being said, it makes for some pretty fun stories. Okay, so here goes nothing.
So hang on. I heard a comedian state that she has night terrors, and they're really, really bad, and she's had people like complain to her about how hard it is to sleep next to her while she has night terror. She's like, imagine being the person having the night terror, because she wakes up screaming. And she's like, it's okay, I'm on medication for it now, and it means I just get to stay in the nightmare and fucking deal with it. She's like, oh, it turns out he stabs me. So I was like, that sounds familiar. I remember those days.
The first of the two dreams that I'm going to share happened about a year ago. It started in my grandfather's house in Omaha, Nebraska, in his living room. He lives in an old neighborhood, and it's right in the middle of a suburb. In this dream, I was standing in his living room, and it was completely dark, and I was alone. I walked to the windows and pushed the old drapes aside and looked out into pitch black darkness. Suddenly, I was able to make out some shapes in the dark as lightning struck around me. What I was able to see was a completely desolate wasteland. Wasteland? Wasteland.
Why is that word so weird right now? Just act like you're describing Fallout. Any of them.
It's all the same.
It's always a desolate wasteland.
Wasteland. All the houses and buildings that I had expected to see were replaced with rubble, and the lightning illuminated dozens, if not hundreds, of tornadoes stretching as far into the horizon as I could see. What's funny is I've definitely had dreams where it was my old family house in Hawaii, and we're just chilling. And outside the big windows that we have at the back of the house is just tornadoes.
Yeah, I've definitely had
and
the tornadoes
coming.
dream also.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think it's probably like weather-related things that you know are scary, you know? Maybe for people that are in places that are more likely to get hit by a hurricane, they have hurricane dreams instead. I'd be really curious to hear about that.
In my tornado dreams, we're all trying to pack up stuff to go, you know? And I'm just like, I need my Xbox, I need my PlayStation, I need like all this stuff.
That's so funny because in my dreams, I'm always like, where are my pets? I need to protect my pets. And trying to figure out how to carry 2 dogs and a cat.
My pets aren't in the dreams. It's like,
must be fucking nice. You're just worrying about your fucking things, your Xbox and shit.
Anyway, I started to notice massive fires burning here and there among the rubble, and I could only pinpoint the feeling of being completely alone in the world. I began to explore and look for people and found myself on an airboat passing by burning cities on my left and right. I was with a friend, but I can't remember who or how I found them. We were being chased by another group in an airboat and were being shot at.
Sounds pretty fucking
Eventually,
sweet. It sounds like a trailer for a movie.
Eventually, we evaded them and woke up right after looking down and realizing that we weren't boating on water, but over the heads of billions of people crowded together, marching in the opposite direction the boat was headed.
So this is like Geostorm 2 with Gerard Butler. That last part is fucking fascinating.
In Geostorm?
No.
Oh, in the dream. Okay.
The last part of the dream where you're on the boat going in the opposite direction of the people that are marching the wrong way. That's something where if like it needs to be psychoanalyzed to understand exactly what's happening there because it's fascinating.
The second dream I had was truly a dream come true. I love archaeology and myths, and this one was truly great, except for very ominous undertones. Some friends and I were eavesdropping on a conversation between what appeared to be cardinals in the Catholic Church. They were very clearly and openly speaking about the Ark of the Covenant. One had very clearly put a key into his pocket, which my friend and I promptly stole and found our way to a storage locker. This sounds like Indiana Jones. It's going to be great. We could tell that we were being followed almost immediately, and we ended up having a brawl with some sort of Ark of the Covenant Secret Service type people. They lost the fight somehow, and a very disgruntled Secret Service guy that I had in a chokehold said, "Go ahead, it doesn't fucking change anything."
Well, your dreams are fucking movies.
He left the building hundreds of years ago. Go ahead, open the locker.
Raiders of the Lost Ark 2.
Yeah, this sounds like Indiana Jones vibes. This is obviously very fucking scary to hear, but I carefully approached the storage unit and could clearly read the number of the unit, 307A. There was only one lock, and I opened the door to find a slim room full of documents, scrolls, and in the middle of the room, there was a large, cooler-like crate with a white body and blue lid. I removed the lid to find the Ark of the Covenant haphazardly left there with no packing materials at all, because that's the thing that bothers you. No packaging materials.
Where the fuck are the packaging peanuts on this sacred artifact?
Right? In Indiana Jones, at least they stuff like, you know, the I don't know what material it is, but there's always like the stringy shit they put in archaeological boxes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Fuck you.
Not at all. I'll watch it again.
Anyway, I remember the words of the guard and I decided I wanted to test the theory. I could tell that it was most certainly the Ark and decided to remove the lid, expecting an Indiana Jones ass situation. Indiana Jones ass. Okay. I braced for having my face getting melted off. However, nothing happened. I looked inside to find the 10 Commandments and no wrath of God. It was an incredibly sinking feeling to understand all at once that the Catholic Church knew what had become of the religion and still persisted for the people. Naturally, I stole it. I brought it all to my friends and family to show them, but felt extremely paranoid the whole time.
Yeah.
The dream ended with me putting it back in the locker and keeping the secret to myself about what had become of God. So because he didn't get his face melted off, it was that when that guy was like, God has left the building, the God doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
That's freaking
very
crazy.
supernatural-ish.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, I shouldn't say that. There's a bunch of things. It's basically a trope now, like God has abandoned heaven or abandoned earth or whatever.
Anyways, that's all I got. If you all enjoyed these, I'll write back in if I have any more bizarre apocalyptic dreams or dreams about missing artifacts. Until then, keep on creeping on. Much love for you both, Nick. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think that last dream was very fun. I would love to have some Indiana Jones type
I never
dream.
have fun dreams, man. I always have nightmares, just from varying degrees. When I have dreams that are similar to this, it's usually like an adventure style thing, but there's always something after me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just that I'm on an adventure to find like some sort of missing artifact. It's like there's a creature or an evil, or like I've had Venom chasing me. I've had Thanos chasing me, and not in like fun ways, and like they're going to fucking murder me ways.
Oh my
where you have
God.
to actually contemplate what that being would be like to meet in real life, especially if he's trying to kill you. And yeah, it's just not nearly as fun as these two dreams were that are very, very Hollywood script-ish.
Nice.
So fun stuff. It was a very dream-heavy episode for sure.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Fit the vibes. Good job. Good job, Nick.
All right. Thank you so much, Nick, for sharing that with us.
All right, so that's everything we got for this particular episode of Storytime with the Scarish Podcast. If you have a story you would like to share with us, we would love to hear it. So email storytime@scarish.com or go to our website, scarish.com, click on Contact Us, fill out that form. It comes directly to us, or hit us up on our social medias. Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter is @scarishpod, and Instagram is @scarishpodcast. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast. Those are monthly donations with tiers starting at $1. We have Badge of Honor tier, which is like our little tiny mini merch tier with like stickers and stuff like that. And then we do have tiers that go up from there. And if you're not into the monthly subscription type thing, you can also go to coffee, ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast. And those are one-time donations, and all your donations go to helping us keep the show going.
Indeed. It helps out immensely, but we appreciate all the support that we get, not just financially. You folks are amazing. Thank you so much for listening to our show and letting us know that you appreciate what we do. It means the world to us, and that's everything we got. So, Robin, why don't you go ahead and sign us out?
Keep on creeping on, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.